Now here's the RSI in the weekly time frame, and again we're looking at this carefully because it does look very similar to what we had over here. You had a divergence develop in April here. You sold off 55%. You went back up and you got a lower high, and it created a topping process. Now this was only $4,000 higher than this level, and it created a double top. Here we've gone much higher than the peak over here. It was 73,000. Here we went up to 93, so we went up another 20,000. We don't have a double top. Possibility of a head and shoulders developing if you get rejection in this area. You could see rejection in this area and be developing a head and shoulders, or even overthrow it, form a divergence on the daily, and form that pattern. That is certainly possible. Had a smaller head and shoulders develop over here with this top right here. We had this head and shoulders develop right there with the slanted neckline. Almost a little miniature one right here where you had a little head and shoulders pattern develop, a little tiny one right there. Watching this now, again, we can go a whole lot higher before this divergence ever finishes, so do keep that in mind. But I'm just watching this 93,500 area where these trend lines intersect, and that's where we're stalling. We may overthrow it and then turn and pull back and then continue on higher, or try a reversal, or we just may stall out and 93,500 may hold. We'll be watching the possibility of a larger divergence developing. And again, you can pull back, you could still come up to this other trend line and even overthrow this one, but then still reverse, as I've been talking about. Watching as the bulls and bears are fighting it out, but again, we're at this next level of resistance in the weekly time frame after clearing this one. And again, we'll be watching to see what happens right here. My signals remain bullish. Weekly time frame, in the daily time frame. In the daily time frame, my signals remain bullish. In the weekly time frame, my signals remain bullish. More about the daily chart in just a second. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the chart, if you like the indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel. I don't have any sponsors. I turned all those offers down. I don't want to send you to some exchange that wants to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. I don't want to do that. Okay, I just turn all that stuff down. Just ask that you support the channel, but I need to hear from you in order to make it work. Consider helping out. Just follow the link below. You can donate any amount you want. The link will take you to a secured site. You can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you very much. Just consider partnering with me and helping out today. Back to the daily chart here. Again, my signals remain bullish. Momentum remains bullish. The momentum line turned back to bullish. We had the pullback. I talked about that. And again, be looking for a rally above 77 and 78,000. That would be extremely bullish. We did close strong in the weekly time frame. That would be very, very bullish. We did. The bulls are back in power with this back test. No topping signals except the circle. The circle stopped. It was moving from bar to bar, saying, hey, we might see a top soon. It stopped. So it's saying, hey, we might have a top in right here or shortly thereafter. But it's warning, at least for right now. But there are no other topping signals at this point. There's no T, there's no sell signal S, there's no X saying not to turn. There's nothing. Okay, the bars are still green, reflecting momentum. The momentum line is still bullish. And again, signals reverted back to a buy signal and a little blue arrow there. And momentum line flipped back to bullish, all with the rally on election day and then the post-election results. The crypto community was hoping President Trump would win because he has positive cryptocurrency policies. And so we got Trump pump here counting the election. Now we're watching. Are the bulls going to remain in control? We're going to pull back and then continue the advance a little higher and then pull back and continue the advance, or do we start seeing a reversal surrounding these resistance levels? Again, the signals remain bullish. You can clearly see that here. We're going to get a rally here, and to be watching, can the bulls recapture the weekly charts? Can they regain control? And they did. So I'll be watching what happens with this signal right here. Eventually change and move forward with bars if we go higher, or is it stopping and we start some kind of pullback? Reversal. We'll be watching. If we flip over here, the bars here are reflecting the trend. They've been consistently bullish except for one bar ever since we got the higher low at the 100 period moving average. I told you we were going to bounce there. Told you we were going to bounce right here. talked about these pullbacks, but above 78,000 for the bulls to flip the weekly charts for a bigger move higher, longer, ended bullish phase. We do have that. Can they remain that way with the next sell-off? Here I have the impulse line. It's still hanging in there bullish. It will likely be the first to turn if we start to sell off, but it's more sensitive short-term price fluctuations. Again, told you I was looking for a divergence to develop here in the more recent price action with momentum. Momentum's turned down, but price is correcting sideways. So we'll be watching to see, do we get a bigger pullback and then try to turn back up, or do we try to clear the resistance that is directly overhead at the 93,500 area? Signals in the daily time frame remain bullish. Remains bullish in the daily time frame. The weekly momentum and the weekly trend remains bullish. My signals, which are correct, remain bullish. We're going to be watching to see as Bitcoin is now slamming into major resistance at the 93,500 area. The video all the way through. Important stuff to see. And just something to be aware of as Bitcoin is slamming into the trend line of resistance from the 2021 peaks, which you'll see in this video if you watch it all the way through. Important stuff, so watch the video all the way through. We're forming a divergence on the Moonboy oscillator. Sentiment among Moonboys is extremely high right now, but we're slamming into resistance, so either we're going to pull back and then try to go higher, or try to reverse, likely off of this area or just above it. We can clear it. Again, that would be extremely bullish, and that could carry us to the 110 to 115 to 120,000 area, my next level of resistance. So again, I'm watching this 93,500 very closely, but as we're slamming into it, the trend lines of resistance in the weekly time frame, you are getting the extremes being reached here, forming a divergence, at least so far. Maybe we go to deeper extremes and the divergence goes away. We'll be watching. Should we be able to clear the 100 or 93,500 area? We'll be watching that resistance very closely. In this video, I'll show you the bullish scenario, what the bulls need to have happen. I'll show you the bearish scenario, what the bears need to have happen. But my signals, which are correct, remain bullish at the moment in the weekly and in the daily time frame. Now, if it starts to flip in the daily, then we'll be watching just a pullback, and the weekly signals can remain bullish, setting up divergences in the longer term time frames. The monthly and the weekly chart, they are setting up. I mean, they finish right now. They can set up over time, and we could still go a whole lot higher. Watching as the bulls and bears fight it out as we've come to next level of resistance at the 93,500 area. So just pay attention to the next sell-off, and we'll be watching if the bulls remain in control. Does the next sell-off give us a pullback, or does it start a reversal? We'll be watching closely. Okay, Bitcoin is towards the end of the Monday session. We closed out Sunday. Bitcoin is up about 2% at the moment. We have a few hours left in the trading session for Monday. Watching, again, Bitcoin broke this trend line right here and got above the dotted red line at 68,900, the peak over here. Now, these trend lines are possibly pointing to the next high, with connecting the low here and the high here in March, pointing up and intersecting at that same area. And again, the signals are back to bullish with the breakout above this level. Again, we bounced off the 100 period moving average. The pink line is a 100 period. I'm a big believer in the 100 period. Again, we had some choppiness where we dropped 33%. We dropped below the 100, went up, got rejection at it, and then we got above it here, and we back tested it here successfully, and we broke out. Bulls regain control in the weekly time frame. The bulls are in power. Looking at the next pullback, if the bears can regain control or if the bulls hang on to power. But the power of the 100 period moving average, when you're above it, good things are happening. When you're below it, bad things are happening. Over here, when we peaked and we dropped below it, bad things happening. Tried to get above it here, and it failed. Tried to get above it here, it failed, and we got a bigger dump. Rejection. Bottomed out, got the bullish diversions, and then we back above the 100 period support. We got up here, we went sideways. You dropped below it, got back above it, dropped below it, you went sideways, and then you got back above it again, stayed above it, pulled back to it, support, and here we peaked in March, we bounced off of it, and then you broke it. So the power the 100 period moving average. As long as we hold above it, that is a sign of strength. In order for this rally to failing or getting rejection at this next level of resistance, if we form a divergence on the weekly chart, the bears would have to end up pushing us back below that 100 period moving average. Bitcoin follows the 100 period moving average. Daily time frame and the weekly time frame, it follows a 20-week moving average. In the monthly time frame, it follows a 10-week or the 10-month moving average. Parameters kind of doing the same thing what we're seeing in the weekly time frame, kind of like what we had over here, in that we're moving to new highs, but the indicator's not. So there is a possibility of a divergence developing either here or at the next level of resistance if it's not complete. And whether that gives us a pullback or reversal then remains to be seen. Bulls are in control. Again, I told you I was looking for a divergence to develop on the RSI. We had a little tiny one develop with the peak there with the Wednesday and the Friday high from last week. Pull back a little bit over the weekend, and then now pushing up again up to those levels. We'll see if we close there here on the Monday session. Again, probably going to get something that looks like this. Could be surrounding that trend line or the next level of resistance, that 110, 115,000 area. If we can clear the trend lines of resistance, I'll show you that in a moment. So make sure you watch the video all the way through. You can see, again, we had the breakout, we had the back test. They're going to rally, and the bears were still in control in the weekly time frame. If they were going to hang on to it, we had to get rejection at the 77, 78,000 area. We blew past that. If we close strong on the weekly chart, the bulls will regain control. Above under 78,000 there, they would regain control. It would flip my signals back to bullish in the weekly time frame. That has happened, and now we're going to this next level of resistance in the 90,000 range below the 100,000 area. Divergences have marked peaks out this chop and slop right here, marked tops and bottoms. Again, had a class B divergence at the pullback. Likely we're going to see a larger divergence develop here. Now maybe we get a bigger sell-off and come back to these levels, or maybe we blow through the trend line and go to the next level of resistance, which I'll show you right now where that is. Between 110 and 120,000 area, depending on when you reach it. Let me just switch over to the weekly chart right here, and you can see what I'm looking at. Now I've talked about the trend line right here. These highs and these lows may be pointing to the next high, which again is a pullback for the bullish case or a reversal for the bearish case. So we've come up to this level here in the 90,000 area, and we've stalled. The week that we just closed out, we stalled there and turned down off of that level. If we can turn off of this level, then it could give us a pullback or reversal, set up a larger divergence, daily RSI. But the bulls are able to clear this area, then the next level of resistance would be the parallel channel. And that would be these lows over here connected to this low and a parallel channel from this peak right here. Is our March high. That would be the parallel channel. That could take us here up to, depending on when we reach it, if we clear this area, it could take you anywhere from 110, 115,000. If it takes us a little bit longer, then you're looking at going towards possibly as high as 120,000 if we take our time reaching it. If we reach it immediately, you're closer to the 110,000 area. So this 110,000 area, if the rally continues, we get above 100,000 and we go towards 110. If you get rejection right here, we either pull back and then resume the advance and go towards upper end of the channel, clearing this level later, or we pull back. I should say we start a reversal. The pullback would be the bullish case that we eventually move to this upper channel area and reach 110 to 120,000. Now, if we pull back, then again the target goes higher. Bullish case. If we get rejection here and we get the reversal, then price has to drop below 69,000, back below this trend line, to take out the 100 period moving average in the daily time frame that we just looked at. The problems is a divergence is developing on the weekly chart here at this area of resistance. We overthrow it and still turn down an overthrow move, but the thing to be watching, eventually see a drop back below the 10-week moving average, the red line, with the next sell-off, and do weekly signals turn back to bearish. Weekly signals are bullish. If they can remain that way, we can go a whole lot higher and we could just get a pullback. Versions would just give us a pullback rather than a reversal. So again, just as I told you right here, we're watching to see as the bulls and bears fought it out. Now you're at the next level of resistance. You got another battle between the bulls and the bears. So we'll be watching. But my signals remain bullish. Daily, if they revert back to bearish, fine, as long as we remain bullish in the weekly time frame, the bulls are in control. My next target level, should we clear these trend lines here in the 90,000 range, our peak so far was 93,487, I believe it was, or 93,500 is where we came in right here. So again, you can clear that. You can go to that 100,000 area on into the 110 to 120,000. If you get rejection here, then risk of a topping process or a pullback or reversal. We'll be watching if we still in this area. We still may pull back and form a divergence and go up and hit this trend line again right here and even overthrow this one right here, but not be able to close back above it. It may just do something like that. So we'll be watching what happens surrounding this 93,000 area. So that's my next resistance level. Should we be able to clear this resistance level, the upper boundary of the channel? Watching, and let me just flip this to this other chart here. We're watching the trend line here because again, you got a divergence over here. That's what's forming right now in the weekly time frame. This may give us a pullback for the bullish case. We may end up going a lot higher and it may not be done. The risk is that we stall out here, divergence. Now I'm saying that, again, I'm presenting to you both the bullish and bearish case, but my signals, which are correct, remain bullish from our breakout here, right here at this trend line right here. Turned bullish even before that, after we bottomed out here at the 50-week moving average at 52,000. Just above that, we saw momentum in the weekly time frame turn. The trending signals turning with the breakout of this trend line right here, getting it back above 69,000. Daily signals have been consistently bullish for the most part since 52,000. We've had a couple of pullbacks, remain consistently bullish. This is the bulls' game to lose. They're in power right now. If they fumble and drop the ball, give an opening to the bears. But right now, the bulls are in control, and the signals are bullish in the daily and the weekly time frame. Let me repeat that. My signals, which are correct, remain bullish in the daily and have been consistently bullish since I called the bottom here at 52,000. Bulls turn back to bullish right after that, going into the 53,000 area. I've talked about the pullbacks along the way. Amazing signals, but then my weekly signals turn back to bullish. So again, my signals, which are correct, are bullish at the moment in the daily time frame and in the weekly time frame. We're seeing momentum begin to flip in the daily time frame, then there's a possibility of a pullback or reversal beginning. But like I said, you're probably going to get a divergence developing there on that daily chart with the RSI. Is what you should be aware of as we're hitting the trend line of resistance in the weekly time frame from the 2021 two peaks that were made there in the weekly time frame. We are getting a 9-count bearish reversal signal. It's going to do one or two things. We're either going to get a pullback like we did over here. We stalled there and we kind of went sideways, and then we got a trend extension. If we do that, if we get a pullback or if we go sideways, we can get in a trend extension, clear this resistance level, and go up to my 110, 120,000 target level of the channel I just showed you. Be that we pause or we just take a breather here, get a healthy pullback, and the advance continues on into the first quarter, maybe the second quarter, again, until the recession hits. We're going to have a recession, but the bullish case, two of them. One is that we stall out at that 93,000 area. The other is that we blow past it, continue until the recession hits. Now, the recession is very, very close. So suggesting, see it 6 months away. It could be a bit less, 3 months from when the signals were triggered, an inverting of the yield curve, and Psalm rule being triggered just a few months ago. It could be less, it could be a few months, it could be a little bit longer, it could be more like 9 months. Those signals are reliable recession indicators. So the signal telling us we're going to have a recession. Bitcoin could rally into the recession and then reverse hard. Not going to do well. We've never had Bitcoin go through a serious economic downturn before. Okay, a very brief recession in 2020 because the Fed intervened and Congress intervened and threw $6 trillion in stimulus checks at it, and the Fed gave us infinity and beyond to drop rates down to nothing. Do that right now with the inflation problem. It doesn't mean eventually they won't, but I don't know how Bitcoin will perform during a major recession like what we had, the financial crisis, or with the bursting of the tech bubble. We don't know, where we had 18-month recession, a recession that lasted nearly a year. Those two recessions in 2001 and 2007, and has never before. So everybody is saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to perform this certain way. Well, we don't know that because Bitcoin's never gone through a serious economic downturn before. We don't know. Was created, we've not had a major recession. We've had a mild recession where the government intervened. That's not going to happen this time, where they're going to be able to postpone the recession. The recession we were supposed to have is now going to happen, but only it's going to be worse. Can Bitcoin rally into the recession, that may hit in the first or second quarter there in 2025? Or does it start pricing the recession in sooner rather than later at this 93,000 area? And that's the $64,000 question. But my signals remain bullish. And again, as they remain bullish, we can continue to go a whole lot higher. So again, we're looking for clues, but we are getting a 9 count as we're slamming up into the trend line of resistance. Trend lines I've been showing you in the weekly time frame. Now, this 9 count, if we got something like right here, you got a 9 count, you went sideways, you went higher, and you got a 9-9 signal at the January peak. We could do that. We can go up to 110, 120,000 and get a 9-9 reversal pattern. Very, very possible. If we just get a pullback or a correction. Okay. 9 count can also give us a reversal here in the weekly time frame. NASDAQ recently got one a few weeks ago with the QQQ. Bitcoin's getting one this week. We're also getting one with NVIDIA. Bitcoin's the asset with the most volatility. You have Bitcoin, and then under that you have NVIDIA. These strong performers. After that, you have the NASDAQ Junior, the S&P 500, and so forth. But again, you've got Bitcoin, you've got the semiconductors that give us a strong performance. Be watching to see what happens here with this 9 count that is developing here in the weekly time frame. We'll complete as long as we don't close below the bar from 4 weeks ago, which is way down here. Unlikely that's going to be the case. So far, the 8 bar is the high of the count. 9 bar does not have to be the high of the count, as long as we don't drop below the bar from 4 bars ago. And then again, if it does play out, again, we can correct sideways or get a retracement and then get a trend extension like over here, or we can start a reversal process, but the bears would have to put us, get back in control there in the weekly time frame. Again, as we're hitting resistance, this is suggesting prices are getting extremely tired. Bitcoin weekly chart. Now, as we're getting the 9 count this week, last week we had a 13 followed by a 9, a double sequence count reversal signal. So again, at this area of resistance, we're seeing some signs that prices might be getting tired in the daily and the weekly time frame. Now, these counts don't necessarily mark tops and bottoms. They can, like over here, again, can come pretty close. Price exhaustion, and sometimes you get the 9 count and you go a little bit higher. Other times you get it and you turn immediately. Here you got it, and then you went just a little bit higher and formed a little double top, and then you sold off. They can mark counter trends, and then we went lower to form the bottom again. Here we got it, went a little bit higher. Here we got it, went a little bit lower. Here we got it, and it marked the pullback at the 69, 68,000 area at the trend extension. So again, I've been talking about how we're getting the 13.9 here, and now this new week we are now getting the 9 count in the weekly time frame. On that weekly chart, we might go a little bit above had resistance and maybe get a topping tail or something. That's certainly possible. Close above that in the weekly time frame, then I'd be looking at that 110 to 120,000 area, which is the next level of resistance. Should we be able to close above this resistance? But this is telling us, hey, prices are getting tired, so we could likely see a corrective move. We still may get above it on an intra-week basis, but it's more likely we're going to get some kind of corrective move. But I wanted to show you my next target level. Should we clear that 93,500 area on a closing basis in the weekly time frame, well then, again, you're looking at that 110 to 115 to 120,000 area. Signals remain bullish. This is telling me that price exhaustion is taking place. And this is the daily time frame, and again, here it is up close. You can see this gave us a pullback at 69,000. Again, here's the back test right here. If we get the next rally and the bulls can flip the weekly chart, active bullish, regain control, watching this next rally for a strong move or a move that is sold. Did we get weakness? And again, that 78,000 area. The bulls regain control. We had a strong move up. Now, again, price exhaustion is happening here. So we'll be watching. Can the bulls remain in power with the next sell-off that we get? Will it be a pullback? Will it be a reversal? Do we go on to 110, 120, 115,000 or so, clearing the 93 trend lines of resistance, or do we turn off of them? So we'll be watching how it unfolds. But my signals currently remain bullish in the daily time frame, in the weekly time frame. The daily up close, a 13 followed by a 9, showing price exhaustion. Some of my other signals, again, in the daily time frame, the trend and momentum are currently bullish. Bitcoin daily time frame here. Bitcoin weekly time frame here. Again, we had a divergence back over here on indicators. Do we see something like that here in this breakout? We'll be watching that resistance. Do we clear the resistance and things remain bullish and we go to the next level of resistance, 110 to 120,000? Turn off of it and pull back and then later go higher, 100,000, or bulls lose control and the bears regain control. We'll be watching. But again, signals a bullish in the weekly time frame. You can see the possibility of the divergences that might form with this other peak over here. So we'll be watching that on the RSI in the daily time frame as well, along with momentum indicators like right here. Bitcoin weekly chart. Again, notice the cloud flipping back to bullish just ahead of that presidential election. As I've been pointing out, momentum has been bullish in the weekly time frame. Just after the 52,000 area there, it had turned back to bullish and it remains bullish. So again, as long as we hold above 69,000, the peak here in 2021, then that's a sign of strength. Weekly signals can remain bullish. Here, again, we had a sideways trend, and now, again, we're breaking out after that 33% drop. We're breaking out, and again, the bullish trend. Can it remain that way? Bitcoin weekly time frame. Breakout, and all my trending signals turn back to bullish. The momentum signals had been already bullish. We need to stay that way if we're going to continue to try to go higher. As you got a recession. Problem is the dollar has been rallying. So has Bitcoin. One of them is wrong, as I've talked about. Dollar going higher is wrong. Bitcoin going higher is wrong. One of them has gotten a false breakout. Which one? They have a long-term negative correlation. Weekly signals all turning back to bullish, but again, possible divergences developing. And again, it may be that they develop at higher levels. Looking at this resistance level very carefully, the 93,500 area. The moment Bitcoin continues with the risk model to be in a risk-on environment, which is positive momentum, again, and the Bitcoin trend remains bullish. We'll be watching to see what happens at this area of resistance. Do we bust on through it, go to the next level, 110 to 120,000, or do we get rejection off of it? Do we start a reversal, or do we start just a pullback that eventually takes us to higher levels? We'll be looking as the bulls and bears fight it out. Bitcoin had a possible head and shoulders pattern over the weekend that evolved into a triangle, trying to break out right now. So again, I told you to be watching. We had a divergence over here. Do we get a larger divergence developing sooner rather than later on the daily chart or not? Again, that could give us a possible 3 drives to a high if we try to overthrow those trend lines I told you about, but maybe get a topping tail and get a rejection, or if we close strong, then that would be a sign of strength, carry us towards 110, 115, 120,000 area. This is the next level of resistance. Still watching this, had a possible head and shoulders, but I told you again, still might evolve into a 3 drive still high. We'll see if we move above this level or not over here. Bitcoin to go lower, you got to take out that 50 period and the cloud here in the 4-hour time frame. Move back towards the 200 if we're going to see some kind of sell-off.